Okay, dann lass uns mal zu dem Gefängnisdirektor gehen, Prison Governor's Office und nach den Kasuma nicht, Asogi Papieren fragen. 2nd November, Barclay Prison, Governor's Office. Back again, are you? Yes, hello. I've heard all about your investigations. I read the report just now. You found him, eh? Vigil. Yes, luckily. Well, anywho, the lady doesn't work here no more, so your case is now to do with Barclay. I wouldn't like you to get the wrong idea about that. Of course, yes, Mr. Vigil stopped working here 10 years ago now, so... Yes, we've seen his dismissal notice, haven't we? He was given the job. Aye, Kimmer, you can very well. So, how about a wee handcuff biscuit? Oh, they really are like little handcuffs. And as hard as irons too. Ja, stimmt. So, what's what you doing here today? Well, there's something else we'd like to ask you about, actually. Is that so? We believe there might have been a document that disappeared from Genshin Asogi's cell. I think it's been called the Asogi Papers or something. Did I no say? Gregson death is now to do with things that might have happened at Barclay. Leave the past in the past, lady. Let's not footer about relevant details. His expressions changed completely. I mean, der Vigil hat gesagt, wir sollen das nicht weiter verfolgen, wir sollen das nicht weiter irgendwie zur Sprache bringen. Das war zu erwarten, wenn wir es dann doch zur Sprache bringen. We're clearly onto something here. Okay, converse. 10-year-old legacy. That murder was botched execution, and the whole miserable escape. They were Barclay's darkest hours, aye. A shocking embarrassment. Because a convict had a collaborator on the prison staff, you mean? Aye, for shame. The coroner who confirmed the death of the man after his execution, Courtney Thies. And my chief warder at the time, Vigil, who was in charge of the whole affair. Okay, Courtney Thies auch. But Mr. Vigil says he didn't know anything about it. The rascal wouldn't say otherwise, eh? More handcuffs. Oh, how could I say no? You can never have too much iron in your diet. When Mr. Vigil has handed his dismissal notice as a result of what had happened. He was so despairing, he jumped out of your office window, didn't he? I didn't like to say, but that's just Vigil trying to get out of it. Do you think he wouldn't have jumped from the shock of his crimes being exposed, eh? I do. You wouldn't say otherwise though, would you? Of course, I can't shun all responsibility of myself. I shouldn't have let him deceive me. Actually, there's barely anybody that kens what went on at the time now. With Gregson having been murdered and Dr. Thies forbidden from having any visitors. No visitors. Someone obviously doesn't want to giving anything away. Well, we are not going home empty-handed. And I wouldn't dream of sending you packing without, Kimmer. Here, take a handcuff or two. Oh, well, it would be rude to say no. Wouldn't want to become anemic. Was ist anemic? Anemic. Blutarm, okay. Anemisch, okay, alles klar. I suppose, if there's anybody who might still can about what happened back then, it'd be that last from the forensic division, Mariah Goway. Mariah Goway. Aye, Scythe's daughter. She didn't have no more. Just the one. But the wee bairns followed in her mam's footsteps. You didn't ever see her without a scalpel in her hand. Ah! Die Tochter. Die haben wir ja auch kurz gesehen. Mama? What is this? Ah, where did she spring from? And did she just call the doctor Mama? Dr. Scythe's doctor. Mariah go away. We could do with talking to her. Go away. Aber wieso heißt sie nicht Scythe und go away? So, she's Dr. Scythe's doctor, but her surname is Goway. Aye, there's some family history, I'm sure, but I didn't ken the ins and outs of it. She grew up watching her mom working with the bodies of folk who died in strange circumstances, and decided to do the same with her own life. I cannot understand it myself. Perhaps she was driven by a deep respect for her mother. Perhaps. Anywho, she was in charge of Gregson's autopsy, I believe. Right, and the coroner responsible for this incomplete report. Someone told me once that the wee Leslie always loved her mom's stories about cutting up bodies. There's even a rumor that she used to listen to her funeral march as a lullaby. Well then, perhaps her mother might have told her about the autopsy from the case 10 years ago. Das ist ja aber... dass sie zu solchen Beerdigungsmärschen quasi einschlägt, als Einschlaflied das hört. Fragwürdig. Aye, I'd say there's a fighting chance at least. After all, that was a life-changing case for all of us. We really need to speak to Miss Gowie herself about this, I think. Well, thank you very much. I'm no happy about any part of this. It took years for Londoners to finally forget the whole professor business. Can you no get up on this, lady? Stop asking pointless questions. I'm sorry, I don't like dredging up these painful memories for everyone. Can you no just stay away, nu? Leave me alone and didn't come back here, eh? Aber eine Frage haben wir noch, the Asogi Papers. How'd you come to ken about that lady? There's no many folk, even here in the prison, who've heard of those papers. Ah, well, I can't tell him, Mr. Vigil told me. I'm afraid our sources must remain confidential, sir. We've been led to believe the papers are actually a last will and testament. Is that right? The professors, or rather Genshin Asogi's. Aye, that's right. You're well informed, Jimmy. Oh, is that the end of the silent treatment? But then after the convict's execution, it mysteriously vanished from a cell, didn't it? Hey, was no, you're off at half-cock there. I think you didn't quite get your facts straight. It was there in the cell, exactly where it should have been. Oh, not what you heard elsewhere. Let me just have a wee poke around in here. I'm sure I can find it. Aye, here ye are, see? The last will and testament of Genshin Asogi, written with a calligraphy brush. Okay. Where it should have been. The fusion. Go off. I think you didn't quite get it. Okay. Hä? Aber dann hat Vigil was anderes erzählt. Of course, I can't read a word of these Japanese squiggles. But I mind it says he leaves all his worldly possession to his son back in his homeland. Yes, that's correct. That's the gist of it. So these are the Asogi papers. Aye, of course they are. Papers written by Asogi. No doubt about it. There's no mystery here, laddie. That's your lot. After all this damage or the slayer of an execution, we sent the man's possession back to his clan in Japan, and that was the end of it. I think we ought to make a record of this, Mr. Naruto, just in case. The Asogi papers have been entered into the court record. The last will and testament of Genshin Asogi that Mr. Virgil claims disappeared after the convict's execution. Apparently, Mr. Asogi described it as the only weapon I have left. One thing before you go on your way, Mr. Naruto. Ja, gleich, aber wir lesen die erstmal. Last will and testament of Genshin Asogi. I, Genshin Asogi, hereby requested upon my death, any and all material possession and wealth belonging to me in London be delivered to my son, Kazuma Asogi, in the Empire of Japan. It is with deep sadness that I accept my fate in this foreign land and the knowledge that I will never see my homeland or family again, but I regret nothing about my chosen path. Okay. One thing before you go on your way, Mr. Naruto. Oh, yes? Those papers are now to do with Gregson death. I prefer it if you didn't make no mention of them outside this office, or rather, I wouldn't just prefer it. Consider it an order from the highest levels of your government. I understand. Okay, sagt uns das, Vigil sagt uns das, aber wir haben das trotzdem notiert. Also werden wir das machen. Das werden wir sowas von machen. Also, da führt gar kein Weg dran vorbei, dass wir das nicht machen, würde ich sagen. Reden wir mal. Governor Caden, would you ever look at this? Wouldn't I rather have a weak handcuff biscuit? Oh, no thanks. I'd rather you just cast your eyes over this. Or maybe you prefer real handcuffs, eh? No, neither for me, please. Lovely offer, so. Okay. Haben wir noch was wir ihnen zeigen könnten? Oder liegt hier noch irgendwas rum, was wir untersuchen könnten? Ich untersuche mal den Papagei hier. Oder was das auch immer für ein Vogel ist. I never have expected to find a parrot in a prison. It must be the governor's pet. Given where we are, it's hard not to see the poor creature as a prisoner. Let me out! Didn't kill me! Ah! Has a bird learned to mimic the plaintive cries of the inmates of the cells? Och, no. He was one of the 3 siblings, you see? And he still calls out the names of his 2 brothers like that all the time. Right. Let me out! Didn't kill me! Aye. I hear ya, lady. You want your dinner, eh? Didn't I do it? Oh Mann. Okay, aber ich glaube, wir sind dann erstmal fertig hier. Schon sweet. Da müssen wir hier noch irgendwas untersuchen. Ich glaube nicht. Aber wo sollen wir hin? Ins Prison, maybe? Nee. Fresno Street Room. 2nd November, Room on Fresno Street. Hier scheint es aber auch nichts Neues zu geben, oder? Okay, hier scheint was Neues zu geben. The photograph of Miss Vigil. Realizing the identity of this lady was a very great clue to exposing Mr. Gossip's true identity. He obviously loved his wife very dearly, which is why he felt he couldn't tell her the truth. The transformation was incredible, wasn't it? Just from what that big twisted lip. Yes, he went to extraordinary efforts to play the part of Hugh Boone convincingly. Although it didn't really seem like it was much of an effort to me. Now you say it, I have to agree. It's almost as if that was Mr. Vigil's true character. People really are very hard to fathom at times. So, was haben wir hier? There are details of cases stretching back over 10 years on this notice board. Yes, a history of Lord Van Ziek's defeats in court. I don't think that's an appropriate description. Although, when you consider everything on the board, it's certainly true that all these people had a background of dubious dealings. And in the end, of course, the board itself concedes the inspector's own death. Oh my, it really doesn't bear thinking about. Okay. It catches your eye as soon as you enter the room, doesn't it? It's such a bright color, it certainly makes an impression. Yes. They can't possibly commit any crimes, can they? I mean, redheads stand out like a sore thumb. I'm afraid with our jet black Japanese hair, we stand out almost as much in London. Huh, I suppose that's true. You mustn't think of committing any crimes, Mr. Naruhodo. I wasn't. Okay, einen Augenblick mal ganz kurz. Okay. Ich guck kurz nur was nach. Okay. Was sollen wir machen hier? Wait, well. Aber ich glaube, hier kommen wir nicht weiter. Müssen wir hier vielleicht hin? Ah, lol. Guck mal hier. 2nd November, British Supreme Court. Lord Chief Justice's office. No arguments, Prosecutor Asogi. You will continue with the trial exactly as I instructed. Is that clear? Perfectly. It's Kazuma-sama. Defying Lord Strongheart by the sound of it. He never did know when to back down. On your way now, Asogi. My lord. Kazuma. He left without saying a word. Yes, what are you doing here? Oh, well, I was just hoping to ask you a few questions if you wouldn't mind. I wanted Van Ziek's trial concluded today. But Prosecutor Asogi's unwelcome inquiries are going to make it take longer than expected. Mein Kopf denkt sich einfach Wörter aus. Than necessary. Unwelcome inquiries. As a result, I'm losing even more precious time. Currently 2 hours, 55 minutes and 41 seconds. 42, 43... Then we must resolve everything before 3 hours have passed, Mr. Naruhodo. 55 minutes. In a miraculous not even 5 minutes. Anyway, I can't let the man's obvious bad mood put me off. I need information. Converse. The Reaper. Does Prosecutor Asogi believe that Lord Van Zieks is the Reaper? I wouldn't know. It was 10 years ago now, in that fateful close trial, that Lord Van Zieks made a name for himself among the judiciary. But the next trial he fought, he lost. It meant the ringleader of a criminal organization was acquitted, thanks to all the jurors being under duress. Under duress? Bestechung? Duress. Nötigung, okay. But that's awful. The man's freedom was short-lived. He lasted just 3 days. Yes, let me see. He died in a rockslide at his place of work, I believe. Correct. That was the inauguration of the Reaper of the Bailey. Rockslide ist Erdrutsch? Oder was ist in London ein Erdrutsch? Rockslide. Rockslide. Bergsturz, Steinlawine. Okay. And people believed Lord Van Zieks was responsible. He was brought to trial himself, but it was shown to have been an accident. So he must have had a solid alibi then. Nevertheless, the mysterious death continued. In total, 16 persons perished in unusual circumstances, ostensibly at the hand of the Reaper. That's a long run of coincidences. Well, the Reaper's true identity may well be revealed by this trial. And the impact that the revelation would have on the British public cannot be understated. Is that why it's a closed trial? Precisely. Closed trial. This country hasn't seen a closed trial for 10 years. So the last one was a professor's, the trial of Genshin Asogi. Correct. Actually, we heard that originally you were going to prosecute that trial yourself, Lord Strongheart. True. Van Zieks entreated me to relinquish the prosecution to him, that he might avenge his brother's death. And here we are, 10 years later, with the son of the man Van Zieks had condemned now looking to avenge his father's death in the same way. They do say that what goes around comes around. However, it would seem that the new young prosecutor is harboring some ulterior motive as well. Kazuma is. Like my organization to run smoothly. I like my organization to run smoothly in the exact manner that I prescribe. As with the giant clock in here, I won't tolerate a single cog being out of step with the others. Ah, so that's what all these gears are about in here. If the young man refuses to mesh with the other parts of my great machine, I will be forced to take steps. What do you mean? Not something with which you need concern yourself. Okay. In any case, all your questions will be answered tomorrow. Now, I shall have to ask you to excuse me. As of this moment, I've been delayed from attending my next meeting by precisely 3 hours. Ich habe auch immer noch das Gefühl, dass irgendwas im Schilde führt. Aber ich habe keine Ahnung, wie das jetzt in die größere Story mit reinspielt. So. Ich habe das schon seit Adventures, aber in Adventures war auch nur dieser eine Justice Minister, der immer auf seine Uhr guckt und ein bisschen bedrohlich wirkt. Aber sonst, ich weiß nicht. Ich traue ihm nicht. Eigentlich. Oh my, that is a long time. And I heard you entirely responsible. Even though we miraculously managed to fit everything into not even 5 minutes. I wonder if you might agree to us, talking with Prosecutor Asogi. Discussions between the defense and the prosecution outside of the courtroom are generally frowned upon. However, I will make an exception in this case. Now go, you can find him in his office. Oh, thank you. Okay. Let's go to see him at once, Mr. Naruhodo. Okay, Kazuma's my best friend in the world, but I'm really not at all sure I know how to talk to him at the moment. Okay. Dann gehen wir mal zu Kazuma. Das könnte sehr interessant werden.